All right, hello, and welcome to the Footfall Conference 2021. Over the next 45 minutes or so, we'll be taking a whirlwind tour through the top ideas for increasing your local footfall. We'll start with a countdown of the top 10 footfall boosting ideas for local independence, focusing in on the top 5, each with an intro and explanation by a different member of our senior team here at SaveTheHighStreet.org. We've got our Community Director, Julie Holden, Visual Merchandising Whiz, John Abatti, COO, David Whiteley, Customer Success Director, Magella Victor, and Place Director, Kat Mitten, all lined up to provide insight into the most important ideas for local businesses right now. I'll then do a quick summary of the ideas that narrowly missed out on the top 5 before opening up for any questions and comments that any of you listening in today might have. If you'd like to share your own footfall experience or tips with everyone listening in, just mention in the chat box that you'll find on the Zoom screen so we can get your camera and mic switched on. If you'd prefer to just share your footfall ideas without being on camera, just drop these directly into the chat box too, and I'll give your ideas and your business a shout out at the end of the event. My name is Alex Schlagman. I'm one of the founding partners of SaveTheHighStreet.org, and I'm your host today. We are currently in the most important trading period in the entire history of the High Street. After a 2020 defined by lockdowns, the performance of our town and shopping centres over the coming months will have long-term implications in terms of consumer perception of the overall High Street experience. Here at SaveTheHighStreet.org, we've been studying what it takes to attract and delight customers with input from hundreds of businesses and experts from across our community. And this week, we've launched the Local Footfall Accelerator that I'm sure many of the people listening in today are aware of and maybe already benefiting from. And we're providing a wide range of new and free support for ambitious local independents who are keen to maximize their footfall over the coming weeks and months. I'll drop a link into the chat when I'm done in a second, so you can find out a little bit more about this, and if you like, join for free. But ultimately, look, there's literally hundreds of things that every local independent could be doing to boost their footfall over the coming weeks and months. But the big question is, which of these ideas are due to have the biggest impact this year? That's what we're here to share and discuss today. So I'd say, let's get started. Ollie, are you okay to change the slide? So in 5th place, we have redesigning your window display. And I know we have John Abatti here on the call, and I know this is very close to home. So John, are you okay to pick this one up?
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm John Abate, the Visual Merchandising Advisor for Save the High Street. And I'm very happy today to talk about a subject I'm very passionate about and have way too much experience on. So our first idea today is talking about what we call redesigning your window display. So I wonder how many of you actually design your windows, or do you just kind of do a window display at the last minute and just throw some product in there? You know, how much time and effort and resources and planning and skill go into the window displays? It's the first impression that customers have of you. If they haven't, besides online, when they're walking down the street, they're looking in windows and they're making judgments about your shop by the window display. It is kind of the face of the brand, the face of your business. It also affects the whole high street. The window display could make or break a high street. So it's one of the most important parts of the customer journey that we like to talk about. And it's often overlooked, particularly for smaller businesses. So redesigning window display is really about kind of optimizing or improving your front face, your window, and making sure that you're grabbing the attention of potential customers. The average, this has been studied, visual merchandising as a whole, like there's books on it and they teach it and everything, that it's been studied that people give windows less than 2 seconds. That's if they look at them, if they even notice them. They'll look at them for 2 seconds. So you only have that amount of time to really attract somebody's attention and to stop them. And that's really the goal of a window display is to get someone to stop and look at it. And you can actually study that. You can watch that. You can watch to see if people stop and look at it. If they're doing that, great. If they stop, look at the window and actually come in, wow, that's really good. So it's worth taking notice of that to kind of judge very quickly like how effective your windows are. So if you obviously want to increase footfall, one of the things you're really going to need to do is to stop customers in their tracks and get them to come in and or just have a good first impression. You can't really judge it by whether they come in or not. That's a good judge, but they might look at it and continue because they don't have time at the moment, or they might say, oh, that's such a lovely shop. I love their windows. And, it's also, there's some value about just people's impressions. So a well-designed window display will do that. If you design a proper window, that's the goal of that window. And I've witnessed it many times. I work with a lot of independent shops, and one of them I work on the weekend, and I can hear people outside saying, oh God, I love that shop. I love their windows. And not that I'm bragging, but it's a profession. It's nothing personal. But they do quite often comment about the windows even when they're walking by. So that's how we can kind of tell that's working. A fresh new window display will give regular passerbys, something to look at, something to take notice your business, and obviously encourage them to come in and explore more. So you need to think about a few things when you're going to start designing a window. So now I'm getting into kind of, the trade secrets of what we do. So we kind of start with like, who's the ideal customer, who's your target customer, and what's going to attract their attention. And then you obviously, one of the most important things is what are the products you're going to put in the window? What's going to be front and center at your display? How are you going to choose your products, and why those products in the window? And then you have to kind of put that together with, well, what's your brand? Even if you don't consider yourself a brand, I highly recommend small businesses, independents, to think of themselves as brand. A lot of big companies started out as small businesses, and they're now what we call brands. So think of yourself as a brand from the very get-go. And brands have unique selling points. They have a unique personality. So start thinking about that when you're designing your window, because that's the character you're going to want to be communicating on a regular basis. And then also there's some kind of technical things like the location of the window, daylight, people passing by, what's the customer traffic flow to that window. And then also consider what it looks like at night. The days are short now, so good lighting is important. And also what's it look like when the shop is closed? Can they see into the windows? Because a lot of people will look at your windows at off hours, and they'll be making judgments about your windows there. So the time of the year obviously is really important. Like now we have Christmas coming up, so if you're selling products or services related to perhaps gift giving or this time of the year, this is the critical time of the year. But windows are more than just selling products and services. It's also a form of entertainment, for the people walking down the street. And like I said before, it can really make or break the atmosphere of a high street. High streets should be working together to get all the businesses on that high street to do some form of window display, even if it's not like a traditional shop, because it's a way to decorate the high street, to upgrade the high street, to a level that you all want it to be. So if all the windows there's no one's paying any attention to the windows, no one's celebrating anything, there's nothing new going on, it's people, the customers, the footfall is not going to be there. People won't even visit the high street because there's nothing special about it. So it's a form of enjoyment for your customers. And even if they don't, like I said before, even if they don't come into the shop, it's something that they're going to remember. They're going to appreciate that effort. So they might come back later when they're ready, or they'll certainly spread word about, oh, that's such a lovely high street, such lovely shop, such lovely windows. These are actually things that you'll hear from customers, when you do start doing, good window display. So some top tips, some of the experts' top tips. We have 5. Think about your ideal customer and what they might want to see. Put yourself in their shoes. Think of yourself as a customer. It's very hard for small business owners to kind of get that distance, but it's really important that you see things from the point of view of the customer. You go there every single day, there's things you're going to overlook, but you need to look at it with fresh eyes. So imagine what's going to attract your customer's attention, in an appropriate way. So you want to do window display that's appropriate for the product and the business that you're in. There's a big difference between a very trendy shop versus a shop for babies, women's fashion, a coffee shop. Customers have certain expectations of what those businesses might be. And of course, you could be very disruptive by doing something very radical and different, but you really got to kind of know what you're doing to do that properly to get to be able to do that. So when you're doing a window display, second point would be, have a story and stick to that story. So create a story for the window, and the story becomes a narrative, and everything in that window is like a stage set, and the products are the actors in that window. So really good window display. I worked at Ralph Lauren, their windows are very, very storytelling, and everything in the window is part of that story. If you don't have a story or a theme for the window, because there'll be times of the year where maybe there isn't one, it's a good time to kind of promote your best sellers, what you're known for, just to reinforce what you're all about, and display those products in a very easy to understand and see way to help draw people in when there's kind of no other reason to draw people in. There's not a particular holiday. And I would also recommend the fourth point would be to keep it simple. If you don't have like visual merchandising skills, we're here to help you with that. But keep it simple until you kind of upgrade your skill level, because there are some basic rules about display that really should be kind of followed to make an effective window. So best thing to do is keep it kind of simple, keep the story simple. Don't overclutter the windows. Don't put too much into the windows, because it gets hard for people to really understand what's going on. And also very important, we all have digital now. We all have an e-commerce site. So put your URL or a QR code in the window. So when you are closed, people can go online, shop online. They know you have a website. That's quite important to put that, in the window. So those are some simple top tips. We have a lot more on the Joe platform. You can go to joinjoe.com/footfall, and you can join the local Footfall Accelerator, where we have a lot of support, to help you with all these ideas and a lot more ideas. So I hope that was interesting for you all. And now pass the baton on to David, who will share our idea about running local Facebook ad campaigns.
Thanks, John. That's great. Next on our list of ideas, number 4, is to run a local Facebook ad campaign. Running a local Facebook ad campaign is about running an advert on Facebook that's targeted at your ideal local customer. This is a great way to reach local customers because of, firstly, the sheer number of users on Facebook, and it's almost certain that your customers are using it. Secondly, the sophistication of the tools, the advertising tools that Facebook has to target your customers. Not only that, advertising on Facebook is affordable. It's relatively simple, and it's easily one of the best advertising channels available to small businesses. To create a local ad on Facebook, you can use Facebook's Promote Your Business Locally, which is specifically designed to increase local footfall. And to get started with this, you first need to make sure you have a business Facebook page that's been updated with your business address. You can then click on the Promote button on your Facebook page and follow the step-by-step instructions in terms of the content of the ad and who you're going to target. Facebook's Promote Your Business Locally is a simplified version of Facebook ads. It's a great way to get started if you've got lower budgets. So if your business has more to spend, a larger budget, ideally above, say, £500 a month, Facebook Ads Manager is the more in-depth solution. Ads Manager will allow you to create a whole series of different campaigns with more goals in mind, with more sophisticated targeting. So all Joe accounts on the local Footfall Accelerator will have detailed instructions on how to get started with this. So head over there and open your account if you haven't already. Next, we're going to go on to collaborations.
Good. Kat, you okay to pick up this one?
I was on mute. I think we can all relate, right? So thank you, David. My name's Kat Mitten. I'm Place Director here at SaveTheHighStreet.org. I joined 3 months ago. My experience spans 18 years in the place management industry, starting in local authorities and 7 years at Winchester Business Improvement District. So I want to talk to you about collaborating. Collaborating with local businesses is a great way to boost your footfall by joining forces with others in the high street. You could advertise each other with joint flyers, promote each other on social media, or even offer discounts to shared customers. But not only that, think about events. Customers want an experience these days. They want to come in, they need something to attract them to your shop, to your company. So think about events, think about experiences. Why are, for example, estate agents clustered together? Well, because obviously it makes sense if you're buying a house. So don't think competition, think collaboration. But before you can start bringing those collaborations to fruition, you need to identify which businesses might be a good match to yours. Identifying local businesses to collaborate with involves looking around your local area and finding ones that might be interested in working with you. Now, a conduit to these are, for example, getting involved in your traders association, your local business improvement district, community interest companies, traders associations, residents associations, civic voice groups. There's so many companies out there that are looking to reimagine our high streets. So think about that. Think about, can I get in contact or can I be a local champion in my town or place? So collaborating with other businesses could increase your business by reaching potentially untapped and relevant customers in your area. This could obviously increase your footfall in a quick and affordable way. To identify businesses to collaborate with, you need to get out there and make a list of businesses in the area that you think are the same customers as you. Now, I was recently in Winchester on Saturday, actually, and it was absolutely buzzing. They've got a great campaign called Hello Winchester, #HelloWinchester on Instagram, and the bid shares stories from each business. Now, I went into a jewelry shop and I also went into a wedding shop, and they haven't met each other. So it's about making sure that you can introduce yourself to those businesses. This could be businesses in the same sector as you, or even better, businesses in different sectors aimed at the same customers. That way you can gain new customers from each other without needing to worry about competing. As I said, collaboration, not competition. Once you have a list of potential collaborators, get in touch with them and start a conversation about working together. From there, the ideas will definitely flow. Now, I hope that's helped. Please get in touch with me if I can help you reach your local champions. It's kat.mitten@savethehighstreet.org. And now next, we're over to Magella for producing a regular newsletter. Magella.
Hi, everyone. I'm Magella Victor. I'm the Customer Success Director at Save the High Street. So I work with our customers and businesses directly. And today I will be talking you through the idea of producing a regular newsletter. An email newsletter is usually a weekly or monthly email you send to your email list that covers things like new product information, news, updates, any offers you have, and discounts. Your newsletter can be about anything you want it to be, so long as it's valuable to your customers, and that is key. So with a newsletter, it's not just about promoting your services and your products, it's actually about giving them engaging content that your customers will want to read. And it will lead them to maybe other services that you offer or other things on your website, like a blog or anything of interest to your customers. Producing a regular newsletter is a great way to keep your customers engaged and up to date with your business. 72% of customers prefer email as their main channel for business communication. So producing a regular newsletter is a very effective way to mobilize your customer base and increase footfall. Producing a regular newsletter involves writing the email copy itself and designing how you want the email to look. To write the copy, you need to know what the goal of your newsletter is going to be. So to increase traffic, you'll want your email to encourage customers to visit your business in person, perhaps by offering them a discount or intriguing them with a new product launch. When discussing this with businesses, we talk about different ways we can do this. One way is through QR codes, and even having a QR code at the till that customers can scan in and just sign up to the newsletter, and maybe even offering a discount with it on their next purchase, either in person or online. So that's one way that you can engage your customers. And as well with newsletters, it's important that you do a schedule that that you can keep up with, whether it's monthly, 3 monthly, every 3 months. And also it's important that, like we said before, knowing what the goal of your newsletter is going to be. So some businesses like to have a certain theme. It might be a Christmas theme. It might be to do with September, going back to school. It might be to do with a certain event in the year. But it's really key to know that, so you can frame your content around that goal and that theme. The key to successful email copy is keeping things short, sweet, and engaging. That means writing in a friendly, welcoming tone, and always writing for your audience. What are they getting from the newsletter? Is it valuable to them? If not, go back to the drawing board. In terms of designing the email, you can either work with a designer on this, create a design yourself, or use templates provided by your email marketing tool. You should make sure your emails are stylistically consistent and in line with your overall brand image. By signing up to the local Footfall Accelerator program in Joe, you'll receive guidance on how to produce an email newsletter, including on how to find an email marketing tool right for your business, and how to collect email addresses in a GDPR compliant way to get started if you don't have any. So if you've got any questions or would like to find out more about this idea or any other idea in Joe, please feel free to contact us. Now it's over to Julie with our top idea for increasing footfall.
Thanks, Nigella. Hi, I'm Julie Holden, Community Director for SaveTheHighStreet.org. I work with a lot of local authorities, local businesses, and it's very much building on the theme of collaboration. It is really the strength of working together. Independents are so much stronger together. And building on that, really looking at how we can encourage businesses to tap into their local initiatives. Some people have a lot of initiatives happening on their doorstep, others don't. What I would say is, if you don't have anything happening, then make sure you create something for yourself, working with your other local businesses. A good start point really is to find out where are you going to find those initiatives. And it's always a good place to start is to look at whether or not you've got a business improvement district in your area. There are over 300 business improvement districts in the UK. I was speaking just yesterday with a number of local businesses, and they've never heard the term business improvement district. They didn't know anything about it, and turned out they've got one right on their doorstep, but they were just not aware, and they didn't know how to tap into the information and the initiatives that have been organised by that business improvement district, that bid. In addition to identifying initiatives through the bid, it's really important to look at what the local authorities and councils and local traders association groups are doing, what local chambers of commerce are doing, and a great way to keep on top of that type of information is to research those organisations as a start point. Just gather together who are the key players in your local area that are likely to be organising things, and by finding that information, you can then look to sign up to receive their newsletters. Make sure you're not missing out on information that is provided by those individual organisations about initiatives that are taking place in your area. So finding the key players, and then from then looking at spending some time researching online, using maybe some key search terms around local initiatives, local events, things in my area to do, and asking other people what they're doing, you know, what they've heard about in the area. One other great way to find out about initiatives is to pick up local publications. There are still a surprising number of free magazines, local ads, that kind of thing that are circulating around, and there's a lot of information to be found in those. So once you've actually found what's happening in the area, the next stage really is around tapping into that, making the most of it, and considering what you can do and how you can maximize on that opportunity. Shopping locally for consumers is increasingly important. I mean, the lockdown has really enforced the importance of consumers supporting their local traders. So having initiatives that help encourage them to shop locally are very important. So for example, making best use of local directories. A lot of these are available free of charge for listings. Even if you don't have your own website, you can very often get some space online to be able to list the simplest outline of what your business is about and how people can engage with you and so on. And making use of online platforms. So you don't necessarily have to have your own trading website to have a listing on an online trading platform. And then other online apps. We see a lot of initiatives such as virtual trails and sort of discount vouchers in a particular area that can be very easily implemented. Using local promotions, again, from a place perspective, there are quite a few councils and other organisations who have their own gift cards or their own voucher schemes in place. Finding out about those and then tapping into them and using them is really important. And where you don't have these in place, there's nothing to stop you from talking to your neighbouring businesses and agree some local promotional aspects of trade. So maybe linked into local events, which is another really important part of the program. We talk about utilising local events, being seasonal, being occasions, where you don't have local events already put on by either your local council or a business improvement district, then get together and create some for yourselves. Making good use of local publications is another good initiative, using free adverts and remembering to send press releases out. Think about some positive stories for yourself and get press releases out there, and run competitions. These are all things that can generate interest in your own local area. Even think about sponsorship, whether you can sponsor a local kids football team or whatever it might be. There's lots of ways in which you can tap into initiatives that are happening in your own local area. Key thing is knowing about them, and then the second thing is doing something about it. So just in summary, in terms of the key message, the high street's stronger. We want you to connect with your local community, the directories, as I say, contacting bids if you've got one, and participating in any shop local movements and activities. And remembering to just search online and offline for any opportunities, and build yourself. One key top tip really on this is build yourself an annual calendar. Think about all the different things that you can find that are happening in your area, and then fill in the gaps where there's nothing happening. Fill in the gaps with something of your own. That's probably it on local high street initiatives from me, Alex. So I'm going to pass back over to you for the final 5.
Well, look, thank you, Julie. Thank you, Majella, David, Kat, and John. So there you have it. Joining high street initiatives tops the list this year, and arguably has never been more important, partly because there is so much government-funded festive campaigning going on right now. You're probably seeing this locally on your own high street, welcome back funds are stimulating all kinds of new activity to try and drive and attract footfall into the town centre. So joining these local high street initiatives is your way of tapping into that and making the most of it. It's not about working on your own. There is a lot of activity that's already happening, a lot of investment that's going in to attract footfall to your high street already. Now's the opportunity to be a part of that and make the most of it. That's not to say that shop window redesigns, Facebook ad campaigns, local collaborations and email marketing are not all having a massive impact, because they are. And we're working with local businesses around the UK and supporting them around those particular top ideas, and they're in the top 5 for a reason. They all have a lot of value to bring. I mean, just to reinforce some of the points that were already made here, you know, your shop windows, you know, right now, if there are more customers coming to your high street at this time of year, you've got to make sure you convert them. This is your opportunity to make that great first impression so they never forget you, as well as coming in to your business today. Facebook ad campaigns, super powerful in terms of amazing targeting capabilities, loads that you can do to really focus in on a particular type of customer and create demand with a particular type of local audience. And as we know, local collaborations, building on a lot of stuff that Julie was talking about as well, a lot of crossover there with the high street initiatives, but just great untapped opportunities for so many businesses around the UK without having to invest a huge amount of time, let alone money, in just working better together, cross-promoting each other more. Final point, just on email marketing, you know, big thanks to Magella for sharing a lot of insight around that. But my big point there is, if you already have a list, let's make sure you communicate with that list about the fact that you are around, you're doing things in December or the new year. Just get them up to date. It does not have to be perfect. It's better to be out there communicating with an authentic tone of voice than sitting on a mailing list that's GDPR compliant, of course, and not using it. So, you know, what we've been doing here, you know, through our work with the High Street Advisory Board, and much more broadly, even a lot of the stuff we do with Joe is around this, is investing it in research, I suppose, to investigate hundreds of different footfall ideas. And of those ideas, some of them narrowly missed out. So, we're okay to click to the next slide. What we've got here, guys, is we've got the 6 to 10, the ones that didn't quite make the top 5. And I'm just going to give a quick overview of these. And clearly, like the guys have been saying on the call so far, you know, there's a lot more information available to get in touch with us if you want on any of these ideas. So Google AdWords. So I've seen actually a question about this. Well, how do we look at this? So look, if Facebook ads are the king of demand creation, getting out there and creating demand, telling people about your business that may not even know you exist, then Google remains the master of intent-based marketing. And what you could be thinking about right now is, if you wanted and you're in a position to do this, or you need some help, get in touch with us. You can switch on campaigns from tomorrow targeting highly localized traffic. So by that, I mean, clearly keywords can be targeted around location, but it's not just that. You can geo-fence your ads. So you can put much more generic keywords in there that represent your business and only be seen by people very nearby. So you can target in a really focused way through geo-targeted paid search, foot traffic into your business. The second point around reviews. I mean, look, the age-old adage is, if you don't ask, you don't get. And it's one of the, you know, it's one of the big secrets about reviews, I suppose, that that businesses with lots of them often unashamedly ask for them. They unashamedly ask them at the till. You probably get this quite a lot after you've bought something online, where you get a follow-up on email. And customers don't have a problem if you ask nicely in the right way, whether you'd be happy for them to share a review. And there's even some really good tools out there. Again, we can provide you some more information about it to make it really seamless at the till to provide a review when someone is actually at that point of purchase. Local events have sort of come up a little bit through what we talked about with the high street initiatives, because there are so many events going on in this sort of festive period as we go into December at the more high street level. But, you know, tons of these events are actually just being organized by local businesses themselves. And it's just another great reason for people to come and visit your business. And, you know, event calendars, you know, event support, event marketing, you know, there's quite a few different things involved in local events, but I'd still say it's not too late, even today, to start planning events this side of Christmas. Google My Business is one of the most foundational ideas, and something that we've helped a lot of businesses get themselves set up on, because it's just really at the baseline. But it really does shock people, particularly outside of the industry, you know, that there are still such a significant proportion of businesses on our high streets that haven't claimed their Google My Business, that aren't making the most of their visibility in maps. I think we all know as consumers that when we're walking around, we use Google Maps, and it's such a widely adopted technology and application that you just got to make sure you make the most of it. And through what was Google My Business and is now been rebranded, it's just a very foundational idea to make the most of, to make the most of your presence online. The final thing I'll talk about here, which is the idea that ranked in 10th place from all of our reviews over the past month, is about loyalty. And I think the big point here is that increasing footfall is certainly not just about new customers. It's about increasing visits from your existing customers, and where possible, encouraging those existing customers of yours to become, in some cases, your best salespeople. The people that are out there really championing your brand to their friends and referring business your way. And so now's the time to be really thinking about, can you switch on tactical offers and initiatives if you're already using existing loyalty schemes, or you just want to do things offline. And there are even some of the existing loyalty platforms and schemes that we support that can be set up in time for having an impact this Christmas as well. So we've come to the end of our top 10. Hopefully everyone found that really fascinating. Before I kind of move on, I'll do a little bit of a roundup here. Just a quick shout out for anybody who's thinking they might have something they want to share, might have something they want to ask. You know, all welcome right now, whether it's a question, whether it's an experience that you faced over the coming months or past months, or ideas about the future related to footfall. Anything you like right now, we've got the right people around the table to be able to answer them. And if you do want to share something and put your hand up, we can even get you on camera if you prefer. So I'll give you a second to have a think about that. But while I'm sort of here, sort of waiting for any further questions to come in, it's been mentioned a couple of times. I know the guys early on in the top 5 mentioned about Joe and the Footfall Accelerator. I put a link to it in the chat as well. But you know, as of this week, it's important to be aware that there is a wide range of new support that's available on all the ideas you've seen today, but many, many more as well. And it's all free for local independents. So if you haven't joined yet and you're listening into this, it's worth going out and checking out joinjoe.com/footfall. And you'll see the link is now actually obviously on the screen as well. But if you're already on it, and you're already maybe even on a different Joe-powered support program funded by your local authority or your bid or your landlord, and you'd like to see more footfall ideas, just let your success manager know. We've got a catalogue of, you know, really every kind of idea you can imagine related to boosting footfall at the moment. We've gone really, really deep into this area. So regardless of what you do, regardless of whether you even get involved in the Footfall Accelerator, if you're just listening in here, whoever you are, now's the time to get into action. It's not too late to boost your footfall this Christmas. And it's certainly, whatever you do right now is going to contribute positively to some degree as a platform for continued success in this area into 2022. So without further ado, I'm going to kind of see if I can get back to some of the questions that have come into the wider group here. And I'm going to go right back to the beginning. And I have a question from Rebecca Miller. I think, Rebecca, we covered your first question around Google paid ads, which was covered in the top 10. So yeah, I mean, Joe specifically does do that. If you're a Joe user at the moment, you should be able to find that in the Your Plan section of Joe. With regards to local SEO, so the only touch on we mentioned with local SEO today was relating to Google My Business, which is a really foundational sort of tactic for local SEO. You get that sorted, that's the basics. I think there is a lot more that can be done around local SEO. Google favors businesses locally when consumers are searching on their mobile phones for products or services or experiences nearby. They want to show your business against another business that might be fulfilling that demand from elsewhere. So there is a lot you can be doing there, from the real foundational stuff like getting the Google My Business set up, through to, on-page optimization and basically getting a lot of good content sorted to your local directories. I think Julie mentioned from a different context here, but a lot of the time when we talk about local directories, it is actually as a primary mechanism about making sure that Google understands who you are locally and ranks you accordingly, because every one of those links is a trust signal, and the local directories are particularly good for local search. And for the more advanced as well, there are ways to get your local inventory data of your product retailer into Google search. We can talk more about that if you'd like to get more details. But ultimately, local SEO is a great opportunity. It's not always the quick win. So it's not about necessarily generating a massive return tomorrow. It's about getting those foundations in place for later. But your Google My Business optimization will sort you out even this side of Christmas. So I've got a question from Joe, and it's about help with newsletter and what companies are good to go with, and particularly GDPR guidance. I don't have specific names of companies, Joe, but if you're on Joe, keep that one simple. Do speak to your success manager if it's not already there. What you'll find often on all the ideas in Joe is when you click Let's Do It, it gives you a step-by-step DIY guide with all the resources, and there's a button on there that clicks Help Me Do It. So if you're lacking anything you want on that particular idea, just click that button, and if it's not already available, we'll be looking in the background for things like this to put you in touch with the right companies. But a lot of the time, those resources already exist in the back office of Joe. And I'm seeing a question here about newsletter suppliers as well, and similar answer really. If you're not on Joe, you haven't joined the local Footfall Accelerator, if you still want to find this information out, you can get in touch with us anytime. A good email address is partners@savethehighstreet.org. Apologies to the people who are on that if this gets swamped from this, but we're always picking that and keeping that up to date as well. So if you have any questions that aren't being answered here and you're not on Joe, you can go check that out there. I've got a question from Miguel. Online reviews are a must-have. It's more of a statement. Yeah, it's a great way of showing credibility to potential customers while building your reputation online. I mean, it's huge. I mean, people buy from people, and if you can get your customers turning into ambassadors and really proactively selling to their contacts, that's fantastic. But one of the most visible ways that you can do that is through your online reviews. And as we said, one of the secret sources of online reviews is really just unashamedly asking people, your customers, for them. They do not mind, and it's quite a sort of a British thing. We're sort of quite, we feel it's almost concerned about the politeness element of the whole thing, but really customers don't mind, and they often do when you ask. I'm getting some comments here. I think this is a response back from Julie to Joe about that as I go through this. Along the same lines as the #1 tip, there are plenty of grassroots campaigns supporting small businesses right now, including Small Business Saturday. Of course. I mean, we've been doing a lot of focus at the moment around local campaigns that are kicking off. There's unprecedented energy at that level at the moment. The amount of work, working with a lot of local authorities around the UK, the intensity of the work at the moment, the amount they're putting in to really put together, top down those campaigns, same as Kat mentioned with the bids, traders associations, community groups, CICs, really at the local level, we're doing a lot of stuff there, but you're quite right, national campaigns as well. Small Business Saturday, I've been friends and partners for many years, and of course it's a great time of year to get behind Small Business Saturday, as many people listening in will know as well. But ultimately, this is not just about being altruistic. It does have a benefit to the wider high street that you operate on and the high street economy more broadly, but this is about you. It's about you as a local independent making the most of these. And I hear Julie talk about great stories, from some of the experiences we have of the businesses that get involved versus don't get involved in some of these local initiatives, and the impact that has on your footfall during that weekend of events and during the things that go on. There are so many ways to capitalize for the long term out of the things that are already happening. I'm seeing an ongoing chat going on between Julie and Joe. I'll leave that between the two of you. And thank you from Rebecca, or thank you, Rebecca. I've got Graham Taylor. Leaflets delivered locally still working as national papers. They seem to fall out in abundance. And from the post person. We do have, they didn't make the top 10, but we do have a few ideas around this. So a few things to note here. Big developments going on with traditional media. Lots of, the traditional local press are doing much more interesting modern stuff around really connecting with local audiences, and in some cases reimagining their advertising offerings to support local businesses in new ways, not just local press, outdoor media as well. We'll be talking more about that with sort of, special opportunities for businesses to get involved and try new ways of engaging with traditional media. We still believe that, local flyers and local street promotions work. We have a whole category of ideas related to street promotions. When we went through our reviews, it's a hard task. As I said, there's hundreds of ideas relating to footfall. Not all of them could get into the top 10. And we set up a committee and voted on these ideas, and ultimately, particularly developing flyers that you promote outside the store, and activations going on with local press didn't make it in there, but they are still ideas. I think it's case by case, Graham. So, if you're willing to go out there and you're willing to go out and run a bit more of a what we call a bit of a sort of guerrilla marketing campaign or an experiential campaign on your street in line with the guidance that you've got there, if you can do something which gives you attention and you've got a call to action, they can hand them a flyer and use that flyer to drive them back into the store, to learn about the brand, to learn about whatever promotion you've got, can be very powerful. Leaflet drops, there are targeted ways to do this. We have supported businesses who are doing this. It is still a way to get to local audiences, and there are specific services are set up just around flyering into local communities. Recollaboration, attracting footfall to a local area can also be about encouraging dwell time and discovery. I think I know who this is, and I can see the name. It is Rowena. We discussed this yesterday. So yeah, very much so. Collaboration between a restaurant and a shop can bring about an increased amount of time spent in a local area. I mean, it's a killer point, and ultimately this isn't just about numbers. This is about giving people a reason to stay, and giving people a reason to spend, and giving people a reason to engage. Ultimately, a lot of the work that's going on, at the top down level with the bigger campaigns and events is about getting people back to the town centres. That's why the fund was set up called the Welcome Back Fund, is to attract people back in. But ultimately, it's a team effort to ensure that they stay. And as I said earlier on, it's a fundamental period right now in terms of setting that consumer expectation about the high street experience for the long term. So, we really got to make sure that everyone does their bit to not just attract, but delight customers on the high street this Christmas. I have I've got a link here. I've got the ICO website, of course, which is always good for GDPR advice. Thanks, Kaushik, for that. I think Joe's chat with Julie continues. I've got, yes, cafes can sell products like art on the wall. or products on shelves and cabinets. And shops collaborate through events that are catered by hospitality are easy ways. Good to share various ideas and work together with business neighbours on the high street. So, you know, I mean, lots here we talked about today is around collaboration. It's in our DNA. We're big believers. It's a powerful asset at everybody's disposal in the independent high street. And, you know, very rarely is it as maximized as an opportunity as it could be. When it comes to selling products and collaborations there, a lot of interesting things we're looking at here. A lot of people close to us know we're doing a lot of things around incubators and helping, you know, new businesses set up onto the high street in vacant spaces. But often it's not just about going into a brand new space. Often there are opportunities for businesses to share space. It doesn't necessarily have to just be you. And in a lot of cases, like Kat was talking about with collaboration, it might be that you can actually start to sell your products through your neighbors' businesses and offer your services in more direct ways than just cross-promoting on your social media and leaving flyers in each other's businesses and the like. I have a comment here about huge potential to amplifying this via social media. Big time. And, you know, we talked about Facebook ads as just a very powerful tool in terms of switching on demand at the moment. And we have a whole series of ideas, probably too many ideas around social media. One of the reasons why some of the social media ideas didn't make the top 10, because they were maybe a little bit diluted across different ideas there. But beyond paid social on Facebook, there are other platforms, other social platforms that have increasingly sophisticated targeting capabilities themselves, and also large audiences that may be good crossovers with your target market, but organically as well. If you already have your audience, if you're already doing a lot, if you're already seeing that growth and engagement on Instagram, you have to be communicating through those channels, of course, as well. You know, we're seeing some great activity, not just on Insta in the last few months, but, you know, people getting some real value out of Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Pinterest, and more. So many ways to cross-leverage any activity. High streets could also shared social media platforms. So I think this is a very big point on two sides here. I'm picking up here. You know, often we talk about high street collaborations, but increasingly when we're looking at the borough level or the district level, we look at town centres next to each other, and often they can be promoting each other as well. Often they're complementary. It's often not competitive between two regional town centres together, and they can leverage each other and work together. And particularly as a local independent, don't just look at the businesses that are right around the corner, like Kat was saying. Look slightly further afield. Look across the town centres that are nearby, and see whether you can build some good collaborations there. I have a question from Nicola. I've seen a successful boutique offering vouchers for a local coffee shop. It was a real perk. Mum and I were delighted. That's fantastic. Not as a question, but I think we talked a little bit about loyalty at the end. It sneaked in a little bit there. I could have mentioned more about vouchers, but we have specific ideas around using vouchers in different ways. And it's a double-edged sword. You know, there's a lot of businesses, probably a number who've been listening in here, that have tried and maybe in some cases been burnt by some other voucher schemes. But vouchers as a whole is still a powerful way to attract customers, and not even just attract customers who are very discount heavy. You know, you can still attract good long-term customers by using tactical offers. And often you've just got to think of it as what we call the cost of sale. You know, if you can win that customer for the first time, the next challenge is how do you keep them forever? And then start to think about your lifetime value and understand, you know, that actually it takes a bit of money sometimes to win that first sale, but it can be worth it for the long term. I think I might have got through all the questions. Is there anybody, any of the other sort of panelists that have seen that I've missed anything? I don't want to miss anyone. We've got a couple of minutes left, if not. No.
Alex, so just one thing. It was part of the conversation I was having with Joe. I thought it was worth just sharing more widely. it was on the sort of topic of newsletters and so on, and one of the things is around, you know, actually capturing the information in the first place, because you can only really send newsletters out if you've got a base of customers to send them to. So one sort of very quick idea around capturing information is to have a QR code linked to a sign-up form. So it doesn't have to be complicated, you know, providing people know that they're giving you their information so that you can send them details and that they're opted in. This is a big thing around GDPR, and I think GDPR frightens a lot of small businesses. I think they get a bit worried that they're going to be doing the wrong thing. But ultimately, all you've got to do is just make it clear to customers that they're giving you their information so that you can be in touch with them. And as long as they've ticked yes, that's fine, and you're keeping that information securely, then, you know, there's nothing to stop you from capturing information. And you should try and do that at every opportunity that you can. Just get people to give you their details. Are you happy for us to keep in touch? And you build up your database slowly but surely over that period of time. But a QR code that people can just scan, and then just is a very simple registration form. You can put the QR code on, you know, receipt, pop a card in everybody's bag so that when they get home they can sign up. You know, it doesn't have to be a complicated sign up process. So just wanted to share that, really.
I think it's very true. And I think 2 years ago, we were talking a lot about QR codes not working, not being something that works. You know, the experience we've had over the last 18 months is that QR codes are there, people are using them. John mentioned in the shop windows, you know, people are walking past your business when you're not open. Give them an opportunity to keep that dialogue going. And sorry.
And they're just so free and easy to use. You just get download a QR code generator, and
it much easier than you think.
Costs you nothing, and it's done in a matter of seconds. You know, it's so simple to do.
Yeah, and I think it relates to the other point I was saying about asking for reviews. Don't be afraid to ask. Really don't be afraid to ask. People want to stay in touch. You know, the power of the independence is that people buy into the personality, they buy into you, they buy into that relationship. And, you know, you have an opportunity to keep that relationship going when they're not in your store, in your coffee shop, in your restaurants, in your business. So, you know, be bold, be ask. Last point I'll mention here is about retailtainment. I somehow missed that, even though it was in caps as we went through here. Every business on the high street is an experience business, and together we'll create an experiential high street. You don't have to be running an event to be creating an experience. So I think, you know, ultimately everybody can play their part right now. And I keep wanting to finish off, but I'm now seeing another great idea coming in from, I think, Marina. Use your email signature as a place to ask for a review with a link. Exactly. Just keep asking. There's nothing, people don't take it personally, and people are happy to help. And people particularly want to help independents. You know, SaveTheHighStreet.org is not alone. There are lots of campaigns that are, you know, trying to make a difference on a local level. There are lots of people that care about their high streets that want to support you. And ultimately, successful future high streets need successful local independents. So on that note, it looks like it's 6 o'clock on the dot. I hope everybody's found this interesting and useful. And please, if you do want to get in touch, please do. We're here to help. If you're already on the Footfall Accelerator, let's do this. Let's make this Christmas one to remember. Let's make it count. If you want to know more about any kind of collaborations with us, just get in touch. And in the meantime, have a lovely evening.
Bye all.